even excellent case method teachers today often went through quite a period of practice. And I will, again, use analogies to, professional musicians, athletes, folks who may be talented but have spent hours and hours and hours practicing. So don't feel that to be an effective case method teacher, you're either born into it or not. There's a huge benefit in practicing, engaging, approaching it in a systematic way, but also being willing along the way to make mistakes and learn. And I think even, again, the finest case method teachers today continue to learn, continue to experiment, and gain from that experience.
Michael, why are you making this distinction between the company's legal counsel, Martha, and hiring your own legal counsel?
You need to find a way to be authentic in the case method classroom as yourself. There's lots of advice. There's teaching notes that are written about cases. Those are guides, but when you go into the classroom yourself, you need to make the plan your own. There may be some elements of that plan that don't resonate with you, that you don't agree with. You might want to emphasize certain things that the original case writer didn't really highlight in the case. There may be ways that your audience you think would respond differently to the case, and that may lead you to try different things. There's some instructors that love doing, for example, role plays and drawing a lot on role play. Some may want to intersperse their case method teaching with some lecturettes along the way, with some audio visual. So don't feel overly constrained or confined in how you actually carry out the case method. And I think just being able to enjoy the experience.
Sometimes you do have to redirect a bit. If a student has really drifted off, and even if you've explored, you've tried to accept the offer, and you might even do a little bit of humor. Glenn, I see that you're really passionate about the ratings agencies. And we could spend, another 10 minutes fleshing that out. But we don't have a lot of information in the case on that. So let's just acknowledge that they're relevant, but let's dig into, the issue of our customer base or something. So you can kind of do it in a way that's respectful of the student, but also moves on. There's nothing worse than feeling that you're just kind of floating, trying to get back on topic and can't.
I think the exciting thing as a case method instructor is that you're actually learning along the way too. That can sometimes be intimidating when you don't know what to expect from the participants, some of these challenges we talked about earlier. But I think that creates a really exciting experience. And I'll say myself, even when I've taught a case dozens of times, the same case, it's different every time. And there's something kind of fun and exciting about going in each time and thinking about how might we do it a little differently, where are we in terms of where the world is today that's different a year ago when might have taught the case. This is a different audience than the one we had before. This is coming after a particular, maybe another class that they've taken or another case versus something another group may have had, and making that all part of the experience.
There's a colleague of mine who loved ending on a question. So the last thing he would say is, I want you to think as you leave today, what would you do in a situation if you actually thought fraud might be present? What would you do? How would you approach it? How would you think about that? To get them to reflect and to personalize it. And those kinds of questions might also have that value of putting some of the onus of responsibility on the student. Like, what really are you learning? What will you do as you find yourself in a similar situation? And final thoughts. There's an art and a craft to case teaching. I previewed this earlier, and I'll just repeat it again. Regardless of where you are in this process, I firmly believe that there are ways of getting the right mental model for the teaching, practicing it, developing the skills. I think everyone here can become an effective case teacher. Finding this balance between control and flexibility is at the heart of case discussion leadership. There's always going to be a trade-off. Balancing the safe learning environment while still challenging participants, another piece of that dynamic. Expectation setting, critical, and I think this can really help you if you're with audiences who aren't familiar with the case method, really trying to shape that environment. And then finally, in the end, you've got to own the plan. You got to be authentic when you're teaching, and frankly, you got to have fun with it. Enjoy it. And that's my wish for you at the end of this session, is that when you go out and teach this case or any other cases, that you really look forward to it. that you're excited about it, you're willing to take some risks, and you're willing to learn in the process.